Hello and welcome to What's On at Cineworld. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Laurie Blake, and today we are both wearing green.
We should have coordinated.
It's a green day.
We did coordinate. We should have coordinated to uncoordinate.
Yes, yeah. We're aware of it. I'm sure people are going to comment anyway, but subscribe. Here's what's on today's show.
On this week's show, Sony's huge plans for the Spider-Man franchise.
We'll go through the latest releases, including, finally, James Bond.
And we'll be speaking to Daniel Craig, who orders you to watch Bond in the cinema.
All Bond movies, all movies should be in the cinema, and this one especially, and I just can't wait for people to see it.
But before we get on with any of that, we have some of the biggest movie news of the year, nay, decade. The cast for that Super Mario Bros. Movie has been revealed. Chris Pratt playing Mario. That's cultural appropriation.
That's it. It's an interesting choice. When Nintendo did this on the end of their Nintendo Direct and Shigeru Miyamoto came out, there was a little bit of me that was like, oh, is this a sequel to Mario Odyssey? No, I'm here to tell you 10 actors who you wouldn't expect to be in a Mario film being in a Mario film. So we had Chris Pratt as Mario.
Yes.
Charlie Day is Luigi.
It's inspired.
Anya Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. Jack Black is Bowser. I think Jack Black as Bowser is great casting.
I think Charlie Day as
No,
Luigi's
I do
pretty
actually.
good.
I do think Charlie Day as Luigi is great, but it makes me want Danny DeVito to be Mario.
Yes.
Or to be Toad. But Keegan-Michael Key is Toad.
Mm-hmm.
And then Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong. Doing that little Seth Rogen laugh. Like
He actually posted on social media that his mum has no idea what's happening. It's like, what? How are you playing Donkey Kong?
Oh, man. I think it's very interesting, the casting. Because I think the internet's reaction to Chris Pratt being announced as Mario is fascinating, because the same guy has been the voice of Mario in every Mario game since Mario 64, which is the first one where he ever made anything that could be seen to be resembling speech. And it's Charles Martinet who's done all of the voices. He also does the voices of Wario and Waluigi and that kind of stuff. And he is going to be in some surprise roles in the film, according to the announcement, which I would assume means Waluigi and Wario. Yeah, I think that's why people are a bit like, oh, that's strange. But also Mario doesn't talk very much. So this is going to be quite a departure for Mario, whose main things that he says is Mamma Mia.
I think they're just going to do Lego Movie.
Do you think?
And they've looked at Chris, so Mario becomes sentient. We've already had Donkey Kong in Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, and Chris Pratt can do the voice.
That's true. But is Mario something you want to bury, you want to dig too deep down into, you know?
Yes.
Because, there's not a lot going on there. He runs, he jumps. He was called Jumpman originally because he's got one mode.
Pipes.
Jumping, he does pipes. He's never plumbed in his life, really. Plumbers don't crawl into pipes.
Well, you don't see what he does on his off day. Not his off days, but in his day job. And maybe that's what the film's going to focus on.
Maybe.
Just an Italian plumber trying to make it in this world.
But he's not Italian, because he's also not a human. In Mario Odyssey, he goes to a place where he meets, there are actual humans, and Mario is some distorted freak from a different world.
Oh, what? When he goes to the planet?
Yeah, he goes in Mario Odyssey. He goes to New Donk City, and in New Donk City are regular-sized human beings, and then there's a Mario running around.
You're thinking too much about it. You got to all this here. That's continuity.
But what do you think? What do you think?
Go away, continuity. I'm starting afresh. Chris Pratt's here. Charlie Day's Luigi. The other big story that we're talking about today that was on the thumbnail that we should have probably gone into sooner is Sony's plans for the future of the Spider-Man franchise. Because we've all been sitting here looking at Venom, looking at Kraven the Hunter, knowing what Sony had in store before Spider-Man joined the MCU. And we all thought that Sony was trying to separate itself from it. And then they can have their own ballpark and play over here. But according to Deadline's Anthony D'Alessandro, Because Sony's always kept outside the current Spider-Man stuff they're doing with the Disney MCU, Sony's always kept their Marvel stuff separate. And with this Venom, they're actually going to connect to the Spider-Man universe that's being set up with the Disney MCU. So that's the first part of this quote, which means that, I mean, we don't know what that big post-credit scene for Carnage is yet, but maybe it does actually link Venom and presumably Kraven the Hunter's coming out, Morbius with Jared Leto, with all the fun MCU stuff.
I think that's a really good idea for them. I think like they can have their cake and eat it with the way that the MCU is going right now. I think when Marvel resolves whatever this storyline is of the multiverse, when they get back to one singular verse, then Sony's a bit like, oh, okay, we're a bit like the Spider-Verse has to either be in, you have to either be in or out, but at the moment it can be out and in at the same time, which I think is the way you want to play it. Like Tom Holland can swing over there, jump through the different time streams and land in his own universe, and then you can have all your villains over here, but they can also be part of that as well. This is a really interesting time for films because it's just going to be as complex as I think they're ever going to get in terms of like who's in what. What does it mean? What is canon? What isn't canon? What should we be paying attention to? All of it. Go see it in the cinema. That's the answer.
And, well, I mean, we're obviously from a wrestling background. And one of the big things in wrestling is, oh, what if this promotion and this promotion who never worked together, what if they all joined forces and they started doing all these fantasy matches?
Their own forbidden door.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're living through now that Disney has bought the rights to the X-Men back, and not back, but, you know, Marvel, etc., and all the Fox properties with Deadpool. And we thought Spider-Man was now going to separate itself from that, when really, I think business sense, keeping all that hooked in, Marvel's going to be promoting the Spider-Man movies just by having those characters pop up in their films.
Yeah, and I think that's really with the line that Sony want to run with this. It's like they're going to get their most value out of Spider-Man by giving him to Disney. And I think we were saying this before when all the talk was about Sony setting up their own Spider-Verse and taking Spider-Man out of the MCU. Just as a business, that doesn't make any sense because the biggest advert for your Spider-Man movie is him being in the Avengers movie, is him being in an MCU, being involved in the biggest, longest running storylines in cinema. That's where you want your character to be, the stuff that's really got its hooks in people and won't let go until Kevin Feige stops making films, which I don't think he'll ever do.
And please don't. And with Venom, I think Venom's been very successful by itself. But having that connected to the MCU is only going to help it. And stuff like Kraven the Hunter and Morbius, characters that are really not that familiar, having that linked into the MCU Marvel branding is going to help that as well. But we have the second half of the story. I know one of their long-term goals, that's Sony, is to make Sinister Six. That's kind of the project we're all waiting for. Their vision of the bad guys from the Spider-Man universe. So, Sony want to play ball with MCU, and they also want to develop their own super bad guy team movie. Avengers versus Sinister Six?
Ooh. I think I quite like that. I don't think they'll do it, but I think the Sinister Six would be Sony, like that's their own little project that they can be like, we did it ourselves. Look at what we've done. And then Spider-Man as the hero can be the thing that bounces backwards and forwards. And I think, they've always wanted to set up some sort of Spider-Verse universe. But the Sinister Six might be the best way to do it. And they teased it at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Andrew Garfield film, a long time ago, where there was that shot at the end where they were in the vault and there were all the various outfits for various Sinister Six characters. So if, I guess, Amazing Spider-Man 3 had happened, we would have seen sort of the growth into that group. And now they've obviously decided that actually, because the multiverse is a thing, they've actually set up most of the Sinister Six characters. We've already seen Dr. Octopus, we've already seen the Green Goblin, we've already seen Sandman.
We've heard the Green Goblin. Oh, you mean
no?
multiverse.
But there are characters. Yeah, there are faces and characters of a lot of the Sinister Six. There's Sandman's been in it, Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Mysterio. We've seen the Vulture. And we've seen Electro. So actually, we've seen the original lineup of the Sinister Six in films.
Recently.
Yeah, pretty recently.
With the trailer.
So if you just go, hop, boop, you've got the ready-made film now. They don't have to do any more setup films to have a Sinister Six movie anymore, because you can just go, yeah, no, it's just the ones that people like.
And we've already seen that Michael Keaton's Vulture, who's of course in Spider-Man Homecoming in the MCU, is in that Venom 2 trailer. So he's going to be a feature in it, a Vulture feature.
I think the other thing to consider about it is the multiverse offers you the option to fix the characters that didn't gel the first time. Because I think obviously everyone's excited by the idea of Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus coming back, because that was the best Spider-Man film. Fight me.
Arguably one of the greatest superhero movies ever. Not just best Spider-Man movie.
Absolutely. And then Green Goblin, I think people really liked Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, if that's what we're going to go with. You could fix Sandman. You could fix Electro. You can have the same actors. You can have the same setup, but you can put them into the sort of realm of being closer to the comic book character if you wanted to. You could bring Mysterio back to life, spoiler for the last Spider-Man film, but give him actual powers this time. So he's not just an illusionist with lots of drones. He literally has Mysterio's proper abilities.
What do you want to see from Sinister Six? Do you want to see just Spider-Man take on the Sinister Six? Or do you want to see them get involved in like a big phase-ending storyline in the MCU? Let us know in the comments. But it's finally here, Laurie.
What?
James Bond's No Time to Die is out in cinemas right now. Oh God, I'm so excited.
We never thought this day would come.
So when I hear the title, I hear, this is no time to die. James, don't stop dying.
This is no time to die.
No time to die. Or, other interpretation, I've got no time to die because I'm too busy kicking ass. Both of those tell me I'm going to die.
Yeah.
You know, when you put it so explicitly in the title, I don't know what's going to happen.
I think this is the end of the era of Daniel Craig as James Bond, whatever way you shake it. And whether that is this iteration of James Bond dies off and the next iteration of James Bond comes in the same way that, you know, Casino Royale retconned the James Bond universe, essentially. Do we get that again? Or is this more like a ceremonial passing of the torch to the next James Bond? And also, I feel like some sort of MI6 female team, you know, of spies who are going to be in like a spin-off universe. I feel like that's kind of a direction that they're pushing. Like the trailers really sort of lead me to believe that might be what's going on.
I've got a pitch for the next Bond villain.
Go on then.
Owns a giant shipping website worldwide thing. He's bald, you know, he's got the shaved head. He's got a base in space.
Yes.
That he flies up to.
Jeffrey Bezos. You did it!
But let's have a look at the reviews. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian has said No Time to Die is startling, exotically self-aware, funny and confident, and perhaps most of all, it is big. Big action, big laughs, big stunts.
Digital Spy said, as an experience, it delivers all the spectacle you'd expect from a 007 movie, throws a few surprises in along the way, and proves to be an entertaining, affecting, and bold finale for Daniel Craig.
You can book your tickets for No Time to Die in the video description below, the link's right there. But hey, we're telling you to watch it. What does that? Who are we? How about Daniel Craig himself is now going to tell you to watch the movie in the cinema?
How do you feel for the film to finally be in the theatres?
I can't tell you. I mean, listen, it's been a really tough year and a bit, and more than nearly two now. So we have to kind of keep things well in perspective. But it would have been a tragedy if this movie had gone into on streaming, and it would have been what it was. But I was so desperate for not to be. And thanks to the Universal and MGM having holding their nerve and just keep it. And so we're finally here, and I can't wait. This movie, all Bond movies, all movies should be in the cinema, and this one especially. And I just can't wait for people to see it.
Also out now in cinemas, we've got The Many Saints of Newark, which is the Sopranos prologue. You know, any Sopranos fan, you've got to go and watch this. James Gandolfini's son plays a young Tony Soprano. So cool.
You can also still get tickets to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Malignant, RESPECT, and Free Guy.
There's links to book all of those films in the video description below. But there's so many movies coming out in the next couple of months. We've got Dennis the Director's Doom.
Dennis the Director.
We've got Spiderman No Way Home. All, you know, all the Venom stuff we've been talking about, the Sinister Six potential. You know, that could be our next clue of what's happening there.
We've got the Eternals.
Eternals! Ghostbusters!
There is a lot to see in the cinema before the end of the year, and one of the best ways to go and see it is using a Cineworld Unlimited card.
Yeah, so usually you have to get a Cineworld Unlimited card for a whole year, that's the term. But Cineworld right now are doing a special offer that expires at the end of October, where you can get it for a 3-month period, and then you can decide whether it's for you or not. So you're only going to spend 30 quid over 3 months to watch unlimited movies. You get a discount on sort of popcorn and drinks and stuff when you're there as well. I've had a Cineworld card unlimited for about 10 years, honestly, because it makes financial sense for me.
It is such good value.
Yeah. So here's a little look at all the films that you can watch with that card.
Welcome to the club.
And not included in that little video montage there is also the 20th anniversary screening of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which you can watch from the 29th of October to the 31st in select cinemas. And now is the time to start getting those pre-bookings in to secure your seats at the cinema for some of the biggest movies coming out for the rest of the year, like Venom, Let There Be Carnage. It's out on the 15th of October. What is the post-credits scene? You can see that in IMAX, 4DX, ScreenX, and Super Screen.
You can also pre-book your tickets to see Dennis the Film Creator's Dune in IMAX, 4DX, and Super Screen, and that's going to be released on the 21st of October, and I am so freaking excited. I'm high on the spice melange, Ollie. I'm high on the spice melange.
And if you have an unlimited card, you can actually see that film a few days prior in an unlimited screening on the 18th of October.
And there are also a bunch of special anniversary screenings, including Scream's 25th anniversary screening on the 12th of October and 31st of October, just in time for Halloween. And also Blade is getting a 4K restoration on October 30th. I recently rewatched Blade. It still slaps. And for those of you who like a bit more event in your cinema, pre-bookings are also open for Cliff Richard, The Great 80 Tour live on the 27th of October.
The links to book any of those and to get your own unlimited card using the special offer is in the video description below, so check those out. And also, give us a subscribe here. Of course, we're here every Friday. And go over to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts from, because you get this show, you get exclusive intros and outros with me and Laurie, plus this week a little extra bonus snippet of more James Bond interviews. Oh, so exciting.
Well worth a listen.
No time to die, but plenty of time for extra exclusive James Bond content. Leave us a comment down below. We love you. Press subscribe as always. We'll see you next week.